Johnny Millennium, this is Victor Lucas, and this is Film Fury. And today we're going to review an Inconvenient sequel. But just before that, we want to thank our friends at the VFS School of Film. Now, this is a little bit different for us. We have never reviewed a documentary, such a fueled documentary, no pun intended.
Yes.
What did you think about this movie? You saw, obviously, the original movie, The Inconvenient Truth.
Yes, I did. I was very moved and filled with a lot of anxious feelings watching this movie, which I think was kind of the intended result. I felt a little bit empowered and a little guilty of complacency. And, it's a powerful movie, and it is a documentary, and I think you can kind of predict some of the emotions that it's going to instill in you as you watch it, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't watch it. What did you think?
No, it's very much like the original movie, you know, talking about global warming and things like that, which things that obviously we care about.
Yes.
Obviously, as people living on this planet, we care about. You know what I take away? Like, it just felt like the same movie again, which is okay. The message is important. They just pound the message into you so much, and I think we all need to learn this message quite a lot. What I take away from this is the problem with society is we're driven by fossil fuels. How many times have we created alternative fuel sources and they've never adopted it, and it's about control?
Yeah, well, one of the things, though, and it's very easy in Al Gore, because what this really kind of does is portray a portrait of Al Gore and his almost lifelong legacy now of trying to do what he can to change people's minds about climate change and global warming, and the efforts that he's put into that. So it's a little bit of a celebration, a little, hero worship a little bit, but I didn't feel too bad about that, because this guy has really committed himself and his time in this idea. And
can I say something?
Yes.
That I must admit, Al Gore's been a bit of a laughing stock in the past. When he said, "I created the internet." Man, bear, pig. That's a reference for South Park fans. But with this movie, what I took away from it as well is that I believed him. And he's dedicated his life to this, and he's not just doing it for some political gain.
I mean,
I'm sure there's a little bit of that, but I believe in his message. He believes his message.
I think that there's an ego within this person that drives him forward, that puts him in front of the cameras and puts him on stage. But the guy is an incredible orator. He's an amazing storyteller, and he is an empowering figure. And I think that you don't go into politics with that without that drive. And one of my favorite lines in this whole thing is that he's a recovering politician.
That was good.
It made me laugh out loud, because he really is trying to affect change and to work with the political system, and he's very familiar with everybody. But he's also, had to deal with a lot of humility around all of this, and a lot of sort of eating the humble pie and taking the subways and not necessarily being at the front lines of all the news stories and all that stuff. He's sort of in the back room trying to connect hands and, different ideas to create change and create, deals that will be effective going forward. And one of the things that he keeps driving through in this movie is that it's easy to get despondent and to feel very
defeated by it all. By government, by industry.
Absolutely, but he also shows us a ton of changes that are hopeful. There's a lot of things going on in the world, like the sort of increase in solar-powered energy all over the world, that we should be hopeful for.
We should absolutely be going for solar power and all that. I said it in the beginning. It's the year 2017, and we're still using fossil fuels. This is ridiculous. Especially with all the back-injured, alien stuff we got from Roswell. That's a joke. But by now, in 2017, come on. And it's about control.
Well, it's about
whoever controls that controls the world.
It's about money, and it's about jobs, and it's about fear, and it's fear of change. Control. And I don't think that you can point at any particular human being, even a collection of human beings that are trying to be, evil and complicit. I think generally it's like the fear of the transfer of wealth and like upstart companies coming in and changing everything. There's a lot of trepidation over Elon Musk sort of becoming the economic superpower out there. But he said it too. I mean, Elon Musk, who just is tangentially referenced in this movie, actually isn't in this movie. It's more about Al Gore, and we see Obama, we see Justin Trudeau, we see Trump on the news. We don't really get I guess Trump didn't agree to be in the documentary.
Yeah, I guess not. I don't think that'd look well for him.
But we can't really kind of vilify any group or person, I think, and that's kind of the message around this stuff, is that the world has to kind of, collectively decide that it's time to make this change for the betterment of our future.
And you're right, and there's so many people involved in this thing, the entire Earth. And I mean, there's a bunch of vocal people trying to change it, but it takes so much to do that.
And you know, Elon Musk has expressed his sympathy for the established fossil fuel industry and the people that have run these companies and have created vast amounts of wealth and you know, thousands of employees all over the world, and their concerns. And he has said that he feels bad for them because they are now being portrayed as the villains out there.
Crazy?
And they haven't been. They've affected so much positive change in our world forever, but it's becoming clearer and clearer that our dependence on these things that put pollution into our atmosphere is wreaking havoc on our world in a million different ways.
God, this industry's been going for so long. How long have we been using fossil fuels?
Well, it's only been a couple hundred years, but that's
a long time.
But that's what's amazing is that we've created this much destruction with our, you know, our dependence,
and all
and plastics and all of these things that have made our world better. And you know, it's hard to steer around the political sort of aspects of all of this. It's really just about the health and well-being of our future. You know,
it really is.
You know, what's the planet that our children and their children are going to inherit? You know, what parts of the country?
Hundreds of years away, hundreds of years, thousands of years. You know what I mean? Well, we got to think about that.
Well, we're talking within this century. There's gonna, you know, predictions of 7 feet of seawater, you know, seawater rising, and cities like Miami being completely submerged. And there are some incredible sequences in this movie where Gore is on the ground in Miami as it's literally flooded, and he's visiting, you know, a city in the Philippines that was just devastated by this super typhoon.
And then, you know, and that's why I believed him. I'm like, this guy doesn't have to go and do any of this stuff, but he really believes in the cause. And I actually believed him for the first time. The first time I was like, is this, you know, like that movie 10 years ago, I'm like, was this politically, you know, a political agenda?
It's his new gig, right?
It's his gig. It is his gig.
But it looked like that. But now, as he's committed his whole life to it.
He's an older guy now. He said that some woman came up to him and said, you know, you look exactly like Al Gore, but you should just dye your hair black. And that's the thing. He's an older guy now, and he's still going on this cause.
Yeah, and he's in his old sort of childhood home, and he's looking at pictures.
His childhood home is a mansion.
It was. I mean, he came from wealth for sure, and he has a. But you know what? He didn't squander that wealth.
He didn't.
And he put it towards something effective. It's just like Elon Musk, and there are lots of other people out there that are trying to kind of, you know, help us along to do the right thing. And we all know it's goddamn difficult to make these choices and to give up things that we've become such, you know, creatures of habit for.
Don't worry, guys. All of our cameras are solar powered.
Right. And we cut this on solar powered computers and our solar powered houses. No, but I mean, this really does get you thinking, what the hell can I do? How do I participate in helping to make
the environment better? I mean, that's not a bad thing to say.
No.
At all. It's a great thing to say.
Well, honestly, has there been a more important movie to have seen this year than this one?
It's good. Well, like Valerian last night.
Valerian was awesome. And you know what? One of the things that we both loved about Valerian was its hopeful future, right?
And that's kind of one of the reasons why
we ain't going to get there if we're just burning up the world, you know, putting all kinds of poison into the atmosphere and making cities unlivable. That's not going to happen. So, you know, we need to make some hard choices as you know, a human population.
Yes.
And that's what this movie really, I mean, it makes you look outward, it makes you look inward, but it makes you think, and it does provide a lot to despair over, but I think it also provides a tremendous amount to be hopeful for, because there have been huge strides in the 10 years since the first movie and the sequel, you know?
Yes.
And still a lot more to do. Okay, so what are you going to give an Inconvenient sequel?
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah?
I really like the message, but I think the original movie did the message a little bit better.
Right.
And this is just feeling like a little bit more of the same.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if I can recommend it to, you know, to go to a theater to watch this. I think you should sit around at home with your family and watch this. I think in that regard, but it's not like a super entertaining film. It's a real film. It's a documentary.
It won't be in theaters for long.
No.
And this is something that you'll have as much, you know, power and effect sitting with your family watching it at home. But I absolutely implore you to watch this, because the message is crucial, and we need to hear it. And you know, let's hope that it's an even more hopeful sequel if Al Gore revisits this topic in 10 years from now. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I think it's incredibly important, and it's the most affecting, powerful film I've seen this year.
You were crying during the
I was really upset. I have a daughter that I'm thinking about every second, and I don't want her to inherit a shitty world, you know? So it gets a 10 from me.
So if you want to make great documentaries like an Inconvenient sequel, you can learn how in a one-year program at the VFS School of Film. Go to VFS.edu to learn more.